All right, we keep coming, don't we?
We keep coming.
You thought that by not subscribing, we'd go away, but here we are.
We're staying consistent, man.
Yeah,
Good job.
yeah. Good job, man.
We're getting momentum.
Hey, good job.
That was the goal. We talked about the podcast. Let's keep the momentum. We're doing a great job. We're getting new subscribers. Maybe we got one or two.
We got one more.
If we got one more,
I think
we'll
we're
take
at
it.
133 now, so it's slowly climbing. We got a pretty good topic today.
Yeah, no, this is a great one. I think the viewers were definitely like this, and we'll get into all that.
It's a topic that most real estate agents, maybe yourself is included in this, really don't have any clue on the ins and outs of probate. That's just a fact. All right. And we created the Probate Hero Podcast Collective, the Probate Hero Collective.
Yeah.
To shed some light on that.
Absolutely.
And to help you get your mind wrapped around what probate is and how great of an opportunity this is for all of us in the real estate business. Just because, as we said in previous podcasts, this is just it's a consistent source of business.
Right.
You can scale it.
You can definitely scale this. Absolutely.
It's recession proof.
Recession proof is the great thing for this, because every week there's new leads coming out, right? And if you work this business, you're going to get a ton of business, but there's a lot of ins and outs, and that's what we're trying to shed light on. Yeah.
And, to touch on the recession proof side of this business, it doesn't matter what the condition of the real estate market is. If it's a good market, a bad market, there's still new probate leads every week.
Absolutely. Every week. Yep.
Doesn't matter if the economy is a good economy or a bad economy.
Right.
There's still new probate leads every week.
Well, we're getting to the end of 2024. 2025 is on the horizon, and the speculation, is it good, is it bad? Doesn't matter. If you're doing business, there's tons of business.
If you learn how to systemize an approach.
Systemize, that's a great word, yep.
To incorporate probate real estate consistently into your business, you don't have to worry about, is the market good? What's the market doing? What's the economy? You don't have to worry about that. You'll always have a source of business, and it's a very scalable business.
That's right. Well, today we want to dive deep into pro-per, right?
That's right.
The topic, increasingly common in probate cases, pro-per, or representing yourself without an attorney. So let's talk about that.
That's what pro-per means. Pro-per's, it's the Latin version of that is pro se,
right?
Which just means without representation. So this is somebody who lost somebody.
Yep.
And they're taking on the probate process, the whole procedure, the document preparation, the document filings, the court hearings. They're doing everything without an attorney.
And there's pros and there's cons to that.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk to it. So the first question to uncover is, why would somebody do probate on their own to begin with?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the simple answer, it comes down to money.
Yeah, cost.
Yeah,
because there's a cost for everything, and attorneys have set fees.
Statutory fee that's set by the court.
And what is those fees?
So it's a sliding scale.
Right.
And it's 4% of the first 100,000 of the total estate value.
Attorney gets.
And then it's 3% of the next 100,000. And then it's 2% of the next 100,000. And then it's 1%, 1%, all the way up to $1 million.
So,
all right.
it's going to cost.
The bigger the estate value, the more you're going to have to pay an attorney to do the probate procedures for you.
Right.
And a lot of people, they just feel like they can do it themselves. And a lot of people can't.
Right.
I've dealt with a lot of pro-per clients where they didn't need our help on the document prep and the filing side of things. They were getting that done really good.
Right.
I would check, look at their documents, because the way it works is when you're filling out the initial paperwork, which is called the petition for probate and the duties and liabilities. I mean, literally, if one box is checked incorrectly,
they'll kick it back.
If you check the box wrong, they'll kick that out on your hearing. You won't receive your certified letters. You'll receive what's called a continuance, which, depending on the county,
then you're kind of in the back of the line.
Yeah, you can get pushed out 30, 60. San Bernardino, I've seen it pushed out 90 days just to go fix that one little box that they checked wrong.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And if you're not doing this every day, it's very easy. It's very easy to mess up on the paperwork.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, right, that they maybe don't know to check or what should they check. So,
and the way that it works with the probate courts and the judges when they're reviewing the paperwork, you're not going to be able to stand there at your hearing and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. Excuse me, Your Honor.
No.
I didn't mean to check that box. I actually meant to check this box."
Kicked out next.
Okay, well, you have 30 days or whatever to fix that little mistake, and then come back and we'll review it again. They're not going to just, "Oh, okay, you meant to do this. We'll fix it now. Okay, you're approved." They don't do that. It never happens.
Right.
So it's really a touch and go kind of a situation, and I like working with ProPer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the first thing I do when I see a lead come across my desk that's ProPer, I'll jump into their file.
Right.
And a lot of the courthouses, a lot of the county courthouses, you can access the files online.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of them you can't, but for the most part, even the counties where you may not be able to access the documents on file online,
right,
you can still access probate note. They'll still show you the probate note.
Yeah, you could see all that.
Right? So in those probate notes, I'm able to kind of look into the future and I can see what errors have already been made.
Right.
And if those errors are not cleared up at least 2 weeks before their hearing date,
right,
they're going to receive a continuance.
Yep.
So that opens up a great conversation. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, Gary DiGrazia, calling because I took a look at your file. I looked at your probate notes. Were you aware that the probate notes were issued on your case? Well, yes, I was. No, I wasn't. If they do or if they don't, they still technically, well, some may realize this. Most don't realize that there's a timeline.
Well, a lot of them don't because
a lot of them don't.
They've just been thrown into this and they're just trying to, I say wing it, but do them by themselves.
Well, wing it's a good term to use.
Right.
Because the majority of the ProPer clients are taking that direction 90% of the time because they want to save money.
They want to save money. That's
understandable.
The bottom line.
It's
they want to save
understandable.
money, which is understandable.
Understandable, right. So then they talk to us and they learn about our ProPer program,
right,
where we are able to bring in our experts, paralegals, the attorneys that we work directly with us, and we're able to cover that cost for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. Let's talk about that because that's one of the benefits we could offer.
So let me go back to my example of where I pull up maybe some probate notes and I see the mistakes that are being made. I'm able to have that conversation, go over those probate notes of what's to come.
Right.
And a lot of people will get a little overwhelmed. Some people don't, right? Some people say, "Oh, I'll deal with it when I'll cross that bridge when I get there."
Yep.
But I'm able to have that conversation and explain what's in the probate notes, what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And by listening,
active listening, we talked about
listening,
that
right?
in the other podcast.
Through active listening, you'll be able to gauge if they are starting to feel a little uncomfortable or overwhelmed. And then that's where I will offer to them our services that, hey, Mr. and Ms. So-and-so, we could take this over for you.
Yeah.
Take care of everything for you. Your probate will be handled by experts, either an attorney or not, or one of our paralegals, and we will cover that cost for you. So it's the same for you.
Right. And it saves them a ton of money. And in fact, that's the deal that's going pending today. ProPer, we did exactly what you're saying.
That's exactly right.
Save them tons of attorney
Save them
costs.
tons of money.
We're not attorneys, but we have the resources.
We have the experts in-house that will do all of this work for us. As long as the estate is selling the home,
right,
then what we do is we just pay our experts out of escrow.
Right.
And they've done all the probate work for our client. Our client went and got approved on the 18th of this month, which was just a couple of days ago, right? No problems. Our client was out of state, called in, took 5 minutes. All the paperwork was in order. Boom, approved. Boom, certified letters. Our deal went pending today. Before we hit record on this podcast, we were sending off our contract to escrow to go pending.
Exactly.
And that's a ProPer client where our experts handled the whole transaction for them.
And saved them a ton of money and got all the required documents that they needed, right? They were going to be traveling, so we were able to get them the Zoom appointment, which the courts will do, and then they get approved. Everything's in line, done deal. Now they're
super happy because everything's moving swimmingly.
Yeah.
There's been no snags, no headaches. And like Ray said, we've kept our word. We've saved them a ton of money. Right. Now, I'm not against clients working with attorneys. I like working with attorneys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, we've said this 1,000 times. We want what's best for the client. We want to help the client achieve what they are trying to do.
Well, we offer what the options are. You're not represented by an attorney. You can get an attorney, and that's your choice. And here's the fees for the attorney. Or there's options, right, which you just explained. We have the in-house team that could assist them in getting all that required paperwork, and then they make the choice. Some clients say, no, we want to go the attorney. Great, right?
And that's a good example.
And we have attorneys, we can refer them if they need that.
That's a great example. Like, remember Dos Palos we went to? You came with me?
Yeah.
So that's a great example where I've been working on this file for over a year, and it's finally closing on Monday.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And this was a pro per client. Came to me with help, asking for help, and this was just a rat's nest. I mean, it took a while to unwind everything.
Yeah.
And there were some other errors involved. One of the errors was being really ornery, just to throw a fly in the ointment,
right,
and causing a lot of problems with our client, who's the executor.
Right.
So I made that suggestion. I said, hey, I could refer you to one of the attorneys that we work with a lot, who will be able to unwind this mess, get everybody on board. And because she's already experienced all this time and all of these hurdles that she had to jump through.
With you helping her.
With me helping her.
Process. Hasn't got paid, but you're helping
I'm
her.
not an attorney, so there's only so much that I can do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I can't give her legal advice.
Right.
Right. And again, my hands are kind of tied when you run into certain types of issues that really you need an attorney to navigate through.
Sometimes in these situations, it does require an attorney.
Well,
and that's
it's really their choice, obviously.
Right. But there were so many
so many things going on. Yeah. She was getting beat down and frustrated.
Yeah.
So then when I spoke to her about one of our attorneys that can step in right now and unwind the mess for her, she was happy. She was happy to speak to our attorney. So I connected her. The attorney took it over, got everything cleared up. And you were there when I asked her, hey, how's it going with the attorney? And she said, oh, I love him. He's fantastic. It's made my life so much easier.
Right.
And that one heir who's been really ornery with her jumped right in line, hasn't given her any problems. Right. And now finally we're closing that deal on Monday.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You really want to do what's in the best interest of the estate. Like you mentioned this deal here. It was so much going on that it was a recommendation for an attorney. Attorney stepped in, untangled everything, and now, right, she's happy because the heir that was given issues, now they're in line, right? So it's just doing what the estate wants and giving those options.
Right, exactly.
So
when you are faced with a pro per client,
right,
the first thing that I always like to do, and I just said this a moment ago, is I like to review their probate notes.
Yeah, you have to.
Because most of the time they're not. And what I also do is I'll print those probate notes and I'll mail them to the pro per client.
So they can see what's going on.
With a little handwritten letter and kind of giving a nutshell explanation of what's going on and what's going to happen.
Right.
And then I always add a call to action at the end.
For sure.
I can take care of all this for you. I have the team that you need. I have the paralegals I work with. I have the attorneys that I work with. We can get all this taken care of for you at no cost.
Yeah, no upfront cost.
That's the key.
That's the key.
Why are they pro per in the first place most of the time?
They want to save money.
They want to save money.
So it's a solution for them.
If I can still bring them a solution and still save them that money, boom, you got a client right there.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens most of the time with a pro per client.
Right. So let me ask you this then. So in a situation, maybe you kind of explained, but when would it make sense if they were pro per and maybe needed an attorney? And then on the flip side, when does it make sense? Maybe they can do it pro per.
So the less complicated of a probate transaction,
right?
With our guidance, they can get it done themselves.
Maybe less heirs,
less assets.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when it's just a sole heir.
Mm-hmm. Very straightforward.
Very straightforward. Yeah. Again, we're not giving any legal advice, but what we're able to do is we're able to look at their documents before they file them.
Right.
Since we do this every day,
right,
we're able to look at their documents and say, oh, well, did your grandmother have a will? No, she didn't. Well, you have yourself checked here that you're going to be receiving certified letters of testamentary. That's as if she had a will.
Right.
This is going to get kicked out and you're going to receive a continuance.
Yep.
Oh, well, should I just scratch it out and no, you should redo the whole document.
Right.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, you got to keep it clean.
So it's things like that, and that's going to build more trust between you and that client. And the more fires that you put out for them or help them elude, you're going to be their salvation, basically.
Yeah, they're looking for solution, right?
They're looking for solutions that still are going to save them money.
Correct.
So when you're looking at a probate that is pro per, look at the probate notes, see where it's going wrong, communicate that with the potential client, offer the solution, and the key phrase is, I can get all of this solved for you and still save you the cost that you're trying to avoid.
Right.
How do you do that? And then I get into our partnered paralegals, our partnered attorneys, yada, yada, yada. It's not going to cost you anything. Well, who's going to pay for it? Someone's got to, they got to get paid. And then that's when I explain to them, well, if you're planning on selling the estate home, I'm going to be receiving a commission, whether we sell it to an investor who pays me, or if we sell it on market and the estate pays me, I'm going to take care of that cost for you.
Right.
And they love that.
They love that.
Again,
absolutely.
Again, it's just bringing solutions to the table and sticking to their plan, which their plan is to get this done efficiently and cost effective.
Absolutely. And I think, like we're saying, it's just a solution for what they're doing, right? And like if they were to bring an attorney, right, if it is essential, kind of like we just spoke on the last deal, it's just like if the estate is a large or complex with multiple assets, debts, or beneficiaries, a bunch of heirs involved, right? Then maybe it may make sense to bring in that expertise and that legal advice that they need to have. And that's when maybe they should look into that.
That's usually
why they're hiring their attorney.
That's the main reason why I would kind of guide a pro per client into the service of one of our attorneys. Is when there's multiple heirs and there's multiple personalities and opinions, and maybe everybody's not on the same page. You're going to want to bring in an attorney who comes from a legal standpoint to be that voice of reason and bring everybody onto the same page, get everybody seeing things the same way. And that's exactly what our attorney did for our client in Dos Palos. He was able to get the heirs communicating, speaking the same language, seeing the same end result, and agreeing, and keeping that communication to where everybody's moving towards the same goal.
Absolutely. And the taxes, right? They can kind of assist on that aspect too.
The estate attorneys are going to be able to explain the tax implementation.
There we go. We got it.
That's a tough one.
It's a tongue twister. Come on now.
Man, I'm talking so fast, the words can't even come out of my mouth. I'm like rapping now. I'm like beatboxing over here.
Whatever. You know what he's saying. We're going to keep it moving.
We're going to keep it pushing. But, and that's another thing I like to point out is one of mine and Ray's partners. She's also a probate expert, and she happens to also be a CPA of 20 years. So when questions come up about taxes, inheritance taxes, capital gains, all these types of things,
she's able to answer all that.
She's able to come in as an expert in that field and provide that advice when they're not dealing with an attorney.
Absolutely. Because a lot of them will ask, well, what's the taxes? Well, let's talk to our CPA, and they'll answer all that.
And we've really kind of painted a very clear picture of being the resource that brings solutions to the table.
And value. We've always keep saying that. They want value, right? When you're doing this business, what is the value you're bringing? Because they're getting tons of calls. I mean, just today, talking to quite a few estates. Oh my God, you're like the 20. But the conversation kept moving forward because it was answering their questions. It was value and listening and seeing what they needed. And that's the key, right? Like you're saying, it's the value and the solutions. And that's why you really want to know what probate, all the angles to help them, right?
Right.
And get them, whether it's pro per, having a solution for that, whether it's guiding them to an attorney and breaking that all down, knowing what attorneys cost, because they'll ask, well, and if you don't know that, at least you can know so you can keep the conversation moving forward.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to say, I'll get back to you on that.
Right.
Or
you really wanted to get that dialed in.
Hem and haw while you're Googling it. You want to have the information already up front. Even if you don't have it memorized yet, you can be proactive and you can print out what the statutory fee is for an attorney in your county,
right,
or your state, and then just have that printed out. Have it up on your wall up by your desk. Maybe you have it where it's next to like the scripts that we provide for you when you're making phone calls that give you the opening on how to open up a conversation and get the dialogue going, the objections, the most common objections, and how to answer those objections. Have all that stuff handy when you're making your phone calls.
Yeah.
So when you're asked a question, you can give the answer right away.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you touched on something talking about just having these resources available.
Yeah.
Another real good resource that is super powerful when you're dealing with somebody who's pro per, because you got to remember, pro per, it's just them. They don't have any guidance from anybody who does this every day. So they don't even know most of the time what kind of resources are available to them. And another real good one, which we've mentioned on a previous podcast, is having an inheritance advance, at least 2 or 3 inheritance advance companies that you can refer a pro per client to.
Touch on that. What is that? And what does that do?
So a lot of times, and this is like our client up in Sonoma County.
Right.
This is one of the reasons why we actually even got that deal.
We had that resource
We had that resource. Our client in Sonoma County was in a spot where this individual wanted to sell the house, but couldn't sell the house because the client didn't have anywhere else to go. Well, the client had a place to go.
She wanted to buy another property,
but had no money to do so.
It was all in the estate.
Right.
So she's like, how do I?
If she sells the house, there's still maybe 6 months until the probate ends.
Yes, for her to get her funds.
For her to get her inheritance.
Right.
And the way it works in probate is as soon as the administrator or the executor is approved in that role and receives their certified letters, at that point, the administrator or the executor can sell any asset. You can convert any asset to its monetary equivalent. You just can't distribute.
Right.
Meaning you can't sell the property, take proceeds, and then go buy another house.
That's
or
6 months.
You got to wait. You got to wait until the probate ends, which
give or take
6 months. Could go longer.
Yeah.
Right. But give or take 6 months from after they're approved. So by having a solution, and saying, well, we have relationships with inheritance advance companies,
and that's a company that
it's a company, and what they do is they will provide all or a portion of the proceeds that are coming to that heir.
Right. And the home has to be...
It has to be in escrow. It's got to be in escrow.
It's got to be in escrow.
Yep. And what the inheritance advance company will do, like in the case with our client in Sonoma County, they were able to front the money or lend the money now for her to go and purchase that other property.
Right.
And when the deal closes, the inheritance advance company is going to get paid back plus a fee.
Plus a fee. There's a fee for that.
Of course there is. It's a service.
But it's sometimes a solution for the estate in this exact example.
Yeah.
That she's getting the money to buy what she wanted, another property, so we can close, she can buy that, and then she'll be able to be out at the end of
Exactly. And we gave her all the options. Here we can go on market for this price. We could front the money to get the house fixed up and go top dollar. And she said, no, I don't have time.
I want it sold.
I'd rather just take a cash deal now and get it done.
Right. And we
so
gave
that's what we
solutions.
did.
Yeah, we gave her solutions, and that was the option she chose.
Yep. And right now, the Inheritance Advance Company, I believe, maybe would have already funded today. And all that they're doing is they're directly wiring the money for her purchase to the property.
Yeah, that she's purchasing. Right.
Yeah. And then they're going to get reimbursed when the sale of the estate home closes.
Right.
Which is like sometime around the second or third of the new year.
Right.
And then, like you said, they pay a little fee on that. But that's just another solution that you can bring to the table when you're talking to a pro per client, because they don't have a paralegal or an attorney that they can seek those resources from.
Right.
You become that person. You become that resource guy.
That's right. So you really want to start building relationships with these type of companies or whatnot. And that way you have solutions for the estate if you run into a probate situation where they may want to go that route. And if you're the guy that can provide all the options, 99% they're going to want to work with you.
Yeah. And that's
the reality.
That's the reality. That was the tipping point for the client in Sonoma.
Right.
So you may not have any resources for Inheritance Advance companies. You can just reach out to Ray or I. You can pop it in the chat on this video, and we'll connect you with a couple of the companies that we work with. Excuse me. And my lunch is coming up. And but if you pop into the chat or just contact us directly, we'll connect you with a couple of the Inheritance Advance companies that we work with, and you can build your relationship with them. And as you come across pro per clients, you now can confidently offer that resource to them.
Right. And so I guess then kind of wrap it up, right? Going pro per and probate cases is an option, right? It's not always the easiest or safest route, but it could be a solution that works for them as long as you're navigating.
You said something really important, safest route. So when someone is overseeing an estate, they have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for the estate's best interest.
Absolutely.
And you don't want anything to come back later that's going to cause problems with them.
Right.
Not only legally, but amongst the family. Right. So we've talked before about the notice of proposed action. That's a document that gets issued anytime an action is taken on an estate.
To all the heirs, homes being for sold, this is the price. Does anybody
any
contest?
Asset, if they could sell an art collection,
right?
The notice of proposed action has to be issued.
Anybody contest on this sale,
and it just keeps everybody in the conversation and lets everybody know what's going on. So when you're working with the pro per client, unless they're the only heir, if they're the only heir and there's nobody else, well, then there's no one else that could contest. That one single heir would have to contest themselves,
right?
Which that's not going to happen,
right?
But if you're working with a pro per client and there are a few other heirs, even if it's just one other heir, you always want to issue the notice of proposed action, because the other option is a waiver of notice of proposed action.
Right.
You waive it. There's no 15-day window where another heir can contest the sale or speak up or anything. And if you were to waive the NOPA and there's other heirs and someone had a problem with it, well, that falls on your client.
Yep.
And you want to help them avoid. You want to help them avoid issues later on down the road.
Absolutely.
So anytime that we're dealing with the pro per client, even if there's one other heir, now unless, let's say for example, there's two heirs, but in the will only one of those heirs is the sole beneficiary. The other person maybe got excommunicated from the family or whatever, isn't getting anything.
Right.
Well, there's only the one heir who's going to have any say in anything or who can contest anything. And that one heir is not going to contest themselves.
Right. All right. Well, I guess then the key takeaway, right, is just to be realistic about the ability to navigate the process. Make sure you're doing what's best for the estate, right? And if it's simple, pro per might work. But if it's more complex and kind of like your deal you said, then maybe hire an attorney, maybe worth the investment, right? So we just want to lay all this out so you just see how it works, what's the options, and then, right, you give them the solution to it.
Right, you just provide the solution.
That's right.
And you might be sitting there, I I can't work a pro per client. I don't know how to do any of this. I don't have I don't know paralegals. I don't have any of that.
And you wouldn't want to offer to assist if you don't, because there's just too much. You want to protect your client.
So our solution for you is, if you start working probate and you run into a pro per client, you can come to us.
Yeah, we'll help you out.
The staff that we have of paralegals and attorneys that we refer our pro per clients to, we cover it nationwide.
Absolutely.
Nationwide. I'm doing 2 properties in Oregon right now, a property in Mississippi. I'm not there. They're it's one pro per client who the deceased owned all these different properties across the country. But we're able to help in all these different states because the group that I'm working with handles the entire United States. So no matter where you are, start working the pro per clients, offer solutions. And if you need us, or when you need us to step in as that solution with you, we can offer that service to you.
Right. And that's part of why we're doing this, the Probate Hero Collective, to help everybody that wants to get involved. And if you have questions, reach out. We're here to help.
Yeah, just pop in. You can pop into I would prefer you pop your questions into the chat.
Yeah.
So everybody else who's a part of this collective can also learn from your questions, because chances are someone else is thinking the same question. Right. So don't be shy. Pop in your questions. We're going to answer them as fast as we can in real time. And then we'll just go from there. But like I said, if you need access to our resources, like Ray said, that's what we're doing. That's why we're here.
Absolutely.
To team up with you and to help you and to provide resources for you so you can add probate real estate to your business.
Absolutely. Well, I think that covers it all in a nutshell. Well,
I hope so. Yeah.
Great job. And again, hit subscribe, right?
Hit subscribe, hit like, share this podcast with other agents that you know. Remember, live and work from a place of abundance. Not a place of scarcity.
That's right.
The more you give, the more you're going to receive.
Universal law.
Prince, or the formerly known as Prince. He said it best.
The symbol.
He said it best in an interview that I just saw a few days ago. I was like, oh man, I got to share that on the podcast. He says that he attributes all of his success in music to the fact that he's given away so much music. He's written songs and music for so many other artists and just gave it to them for free, that he feels that's why he's had so much success with his own career.
Absolutely. And it's a universal biblical law, right? The more you give, the more you'll receive. So we're just sharing, come from a place of abundance. There's plenty of business out there. And like we said, right, put the questions in the chat. We'd love to help you.
All right. So that's episode 8 for now about ProPers.
Yes, it is.
Hit subscribe. This has been the Probate Hero Collective. Again, I'm Gary.
I'm Ray.
And we will see you next time.
Until next time.
See ya.
See ya.